We're in the show, we're in Cash is King. My name's Stuart from Inspiring City. We're at the Saatchi Gallery and I'm with Bob Osborne and Carrie Reichardt, who is well known to us here on Inspiring City. Carrie, I'm going to start with you. Amazing show. What's the idea behind it?
Well, it's the second time we've been here because this is Cash is King too, and it's just the idea that we could give a whole range of different artists all the opportunity to deface a banknote and be in this show. And it's very democratic because, you know, there's people here like our own children and our friends against really quite famous artists, and so it's that kind of nice idea that everyone can have a chance to be in Saatchi.
What was the genesis of the idea, Bob, when you...
We started defacing banknotes ourselves a couple of years ago because we were also defacing playing cards, and it just seemed an ideal medium. And then I realised that lots of people all over the world had also been engaged in that illegal activity. And then doing a bit of research with the British Museum, got interested in the project. People started sending notes, and we had a very successful book, Cash is King 1, and a show at Saatchi, which was near sellout. So they invited us back again, so we kept to the same formula, but obviously with lots of different artists and from new countries as well.
I mean, that's another thing. I've noticed that the volume of artists is a lot more, isn't it?
There are slightly more, but also with this one we handed over some of the curation to other people. So Martin Reed from New Art, he curated a section. Bob's done his Funny Money section. I have the treatment room section. We have Ian Ellis, who did a section. Gay Black, who's obviously a famous old punk singer. She has a punk section. So we kind of did open it up so we could have a broader range of artists.
It seems to get a real buzz around it. I mean, I noticed the last year with Cash is King, there's a lot of chatter on the art scene, and that was definitely the case this year as well.
Absolutely was, yeah.
Do you feel that artists, that they want to be part of this show, and why do they want to be part of it?
Most definitely. We had, far more artists than we could cope with this year, so we had to kind of narrow it down to, and my criteria was that I wanted artists to promote it so that, we're all in this together. We don't have a fund for publicity, but people were using social media cleverly, to broadcast the show. And so each artist reached out to their fan base, some of whom have got considerable fan bases. And so it just gathered momentum.
So let's have a look around, shall we? So is there any one piece, and that's a tough question in itself, I know that is, but any one piece that you want to show us and you think, actually, we need to know about this one piece?
Oh God, there's loads.
There's so many. That's the world's toughest question. Let's have a look. What about the treatment rooms one? The wall.
The treatment section is over here.
So tell us who the treatment rooms are, first of all.
Treatment rooms is really just the name of a group of artists and friends and activists that work around my house and have been my friends for years. And in the show we've got myself, we've got ATM, we've got Karen Francesca. Oh, but hers is on the big one over there. So, but also I've got Sean, who I work with, who's my assistant, and Ipsos. But this time we've got our kids. So this is my niece, Jessie, who's also my PA. This is my daughter's one, Foxy Roxy, who's only 14. This is Pablo's, who's Karen's. So it was really quite sweet, really. I mean, it just shows you how old we are, doesn't it? That we've got our kids in here.
It's so nice, though, isn't it? Because the treatment rooms, you as a collective, you've been doing art for so many years, and you've been working collaboratively for so many years. So it must be nice to have everyone, together in all their work in one space like this.
Oh yeah, it's lovely, and also I think that's one of the things about a banknote. It's like. There's so much you can do with it. There's so many different ways you can do this defacing a banknote. Which banknote, which country, what you do with it. I think it's a great formula. It's something, and one of the things we really like is just like the old notes, or the intrinsic beauty of the banknote before you've done anything to it. Especially when we're moving into this kind of cashless society. I think that's what a lot of people talk about when they engage in this project, is how much they like the banknotes, or you have to look at them. You like this one, it's just so beautiful anyway.
There's some lovely texture, isn't there, about some of these banknotes. Bob, using the banknotes, many different artists have chosen to use them in a different way, and one of the artists that's sort of standing out is Ada Wilde, and Ada Wilde's work, and she's using banknotes from countries with a high percentage of refugees that come from those countries. Can you tell us a bit about her work and show us some of her work?
Yes. Well, Ada's originally from Iran, so there's obviously a personal history there, and she's quite brilliantly used mixed media to overprint and collage her banknotes, and I think most of the proceeds you probably know more about Ada's.
To help refugees.
It goes back into the refugees. She's worked painstakingly to pulp them down and reprint them and things like this, and so she really fully engaged in the project and came up with a very strong body of work.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm looking at one piece here which I think has got a little bit of it's had a bit of press. It's this beautifully sort of delicate banknote, I think, from Syria, which has been folded into the shape of a boat. And it's reflective of the refugees making the journey across these treacherous seas, and how flimsy that piece of paper is compared to the flimsy boats that they're transporting themselves across these seas in.
Exactly.
A powerful piece, isn't it, when you look at it?
One of the things also intrinsically interesting for me about banknotes is that they're very portable. So they cross borders, they cross boundaries. You can have a load of banknotes in your pocket, and you have a lot of freedom to do what you like with it. So the other thing is that being small works, people could just send a banknote in the post, and then you've got a ready-made show effectively. And we now have our interest from all over the world for people to do shows, like in Japan and Palestine and Amsterdam. And the thing is, you can just send 20 or 30 banknotes out there, and you're not shipping out great big pieces of work with glass. They can either be framed very simply or just even hung on clips.
Because there's such unique pieces of art, all of them, and you're right. If you can, each banknote representing a different culture or a different place, you could easily transport that into a different.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the other things is the stories of some of them that have been sent from places that were difficult, like Bob has trouble where they're all coming from the Ukraine, and where was the other place where they kept hidden in a book, didn't they? In Brazil, was it?
Well, last year we had some really good artists in Ukraine, and of course they're virtually living in a war zone, so I couldn't pay them because they don't have PayPal in Ukraine, so I was sending euros in a book that I sent to them, and some of the books arrived, some didn't, so I was sending 2 at a time. And also we had people from Venezuela, a beautiful work from Venezuela, and he was painting on the notes that are no longer in circulation. But again, there's no postal service between Venezuela and the UK, so we had to go via Germany for some courier who actually works in Caracas to deliver the books and collect the notes. So for me, that kind of makes that even more of a backstory, and there's backstories for lots of these notes.
So most of these people coming to you, or are you going to
a bit of both, really. I mean, I did identify people that I thought were doing interesting work, and I didn't want it to be like fully political, so I wanted it to be quite populist. So, but other people, we had hundreds of people wanting to be in it, and we couldn't accept everybody. So, even big names, we didn't want people necessarily because of the big names. We'd rather, get interesting countries and new people involved all the time.
So that was a mixture, was it? In terms of the mixture between political and just fun. You wanted.
Yeah, no, we don't. We don't want it to be anything one thing. That was the point, is to try and have a little bit of everything. And there's fine art, there's street art, there's people who are political, people who aren't. There is that entire mixture, I think, which is what people. If you look at the books are very much meant to be like that.
Yeah, and in the book this time, I noticed that there's a lot, because in Cash's King 1, it was, there's some great art in there. Yeah. But there's some great art in this one, but there's a lot more narrative, a lot more stories, so some sort of like you said.
Yeah. I wanted to, academia is very interested in the whole Cash's King project. We're in the British Museum. We're also involved with curating a show in the Fitzwilliam. Lots of universities have got the book, so I like that mix that is academic interest, and also we've got some academic writers who've written fantastic pieces that on a different level. It's a very populist book because people can appreciate all the elements in it, the simplicity, so it hits both those fan bases, which is what I wanted to do, really.
Yeah. And one final thing, I mean, you started off this sort of project with the whole defacing defacing money side of thing. Is that something that is you can still get done for? What's the situation with defacing money these days?
Indeed, technically it is still illegal under the 1928 Banknotes and Currency Act. And when I first started, or when we first started it, I did write to the Bank of England because I wanted to just kind of clear the air, and I asked for a quote for the book, which was more or less suggesting, can I do this? And they said, unfortunately, what you're doing is illegal, and they sent me this whole copy of the laws that I was breaking, so we cannot give you a quote for the book. And of course, that is what the quote I used for.
You literally put the quote
for
in the book?
Yeah. I was concerned. I did speak to a barrister, a friend of mine, and I would have got a cease and desist, which meant I would have had to burn all the existing copies, which I thought was a really good idea because we could have burnt them outside the Bank of England or something like that. But initially I just wanted to sell them as quickly as possible, which we did. Then, of course, the British Museum have got a copy. Are they going to tell the British Museum they can't have a copy of Cassius King? Are they going to tell Saatchi they can't put on a show? So 100 artists as well. Are they going to pursue all those? So I decided it was completely safe to do it again.
It's probably a good job you did because it's a fantastic show.
Yeah, thank you.
It's great. All right, guys, thanks very much. I'm going to take a good look around. It's it's a brilliant show, and thanks very much.
Yeah, and also the show is travelling. We are going to Margate. Is it the End Game?
Margate. What's that?
Art
Hotel?
Game. Art Game.
Art Game Hotel.
It's a new. It's Dr. D's done a room there. We're going to go stay in the Dr. D room. But they want us to take Cassius King there, so I think that's going to be the first show after this.
Yeah.
There's no reason why you can't do that.
The 3rd of October.
It's lots of interest. I mean, we're talking via Ian Ellis to MoCo in Amsterdam, and it looks like we've got a good chance of having a show there at the end of November. We're also talking to Banksy's Waldorf Hotel about involving some Palestinian artists who we got into here. So we do a reciprocal thing where we take some of our banknotes and they get more Palestinian artists. So that could come off too, which would be very exciting.
I do think Cassius King will be travelling to a town near you soon.
It's taken over the world.
Let's do it. Come to Wakefield.
As our money becomes worthless, and inflation, the only money will be turning it into art, won't it?
In a few years, people are thinking, what are these notes? What are these things? Like the old
Exactly.
telephones now. How do you use these old telephones?
Exactly.
The same what you do with this paper money.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks very much, guys. Thank you.